I started noticing the timestamps about 3 weeks ago. It was a Tuesday, I think. I was reviewing the security footage at work. I manage a self-storage facility off Route 9 in Poughkeepsie, the kind of place that smells like concrete in someone's grandmother's basement. Mostly I just sit in a small office watching Netflix on my phone while the cameras cycle through empty hallways. Nothing ever happens. People rent units, fill them with the parts of their lives they don't want to look at anymore, and forget about them. But that Tuesday, I noticed something wrong with Camera 7. Camera 7 covers Hallway C, the one furthest from the office. 32 units, no windows, fluorescent lights that buzz like angry wasps. The timestamp on the feed read 3:47 a.m., which was correct. I was working the overnight shift. But in the bottom left corner, barely visible unless you were looking for it, there was a second timestamp. Tiny, almost like a watermark. It read, October 14th, 2031, 5 years in the future. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, looked again. It was gone. Just the normal timestamp, ticking forward 1 second at a time. I figured it was a glitch. The system was ancient, the kind of setup where you half expected it to run on VHS tapes. I made a mental note to mention it to the owner and went back to my phone. Then it happened again the next night. Same camera, same hallway. But this time, the future timestamp stayed for almost 30 seconds before vanishing, and the hallway in the feed looked different. The fluorescent lights were off. The corridor was lit by something reddish, something that seemed to come from inside the walls themselves. And at the far end of the hallway, barely visible in the dim glow, there was something on the floor. I couldn't tell what it was. The resolution was garbage. It could have been a bag of clothes, a pile of blankets. But the shape was wrong for any of those things. It had angles where angles shouldn't be. I saved the clip, backed it up to my phone. The next morning I walked down hallway C with a flashlight even though the overheads were on. Everything looked normal. Concrete floor, roll-up doors, the faint smell of mothballs and regret. Unit C19, at the far end where I'd seen the shape, was rented to someone named Harold Meeks. The account was current. The lock was untouched. I told myself it was nothing. Told myself for about a week. Then the second timestamp started showing different dates. October 17th, 2031. October 20th. October 23rd. Always October. Always 2031. Always advancing. And each time it appeared, the hallway in the feed changed. The red light got brighter. The shape at the end of the corridor got larger, more defined. By the fourth week, I could see that it was a person. Someone sitting cross-legged in front of Unit C19, head bowed, hands resting on their knees. Completely still. The red light pulsed around them slowly, like a heartbeat. They were wearing what looked like coveralls. Dark, maybe navy. Hard to tell in that light. I started screenshotting every occurrence. Built a folder on my laptop. 47 captures over 11 days. I put them in chronological order based on the future timestamps and watched the progression. In the earliest ones, the figure was barely visible. By the later dates, they were sharp, clear, unmistakable. And in the last 3 screenshots, October 28th, 29th, and 30th, the figure had lifted their head. They were looking directly into the camera. I couldn't make out the face, not clearly. The resolution was too low, the red light too diffuse. But the posture was wrong. The angle of the neck was too far back, chin pointed up at the ceiling like they were trying to see something above and behind them. But the eyes, I could feel the eyes even through the pixelation. The eyes were aimed straight down the hallway, straight at the camera, straight at me. I stopped taking the overnight shifts. Told my boss I needed to switch to days for personal reasons. He didn't care. I worked 8 to 4 for 2 weeks and didn't look at camera 7 once. But the thing about a mystery is that not knowing is worse than knowing. Every night at home, lying in bed, I'd think about hallway C, about the figure, about the red light. I'd pull out my phone and flip through the screenshots and try to convince myself it was a glitch, a reflection, a prank by someone who'd hacked our ancient system. I couldn't convince myself, so I went back to overnights. And the first night back, at 3:47 a.m. exactly, the second timestamp appeared on camera 7, October 31st, 2031. The hallway was bathed in red. The figure was standing now, standing right in front of C-19, arms at their sides, head tilted at that impossible angle. And for the first time, I could see details. The coveralls were stained, dark patches that could have been oil or paint or something else entirely. The hands were pale, the fingers long and slightly curled. And the face was mine. Not similar, not a resemblance, mine. My exact face, 5 years older, thinner, with shadows under the eyes and something wrong with the mouth. It was open, slightly, not in speech or surprise, but in the way a mouth opens when the muscles stop working, when the brain stops sending signals, when a person is no longer a person but just a body that hasn't fallen down yet. I slammed my laptop shut, sat in the dark office listening to my own breathing. Then I opened it again because I had to. I had to look. The timestamp now read November 1st, 2031. The hallway was empty. No figure, no red light, just the normal fluorescent buzz and gray concrete. But Unit C-19's door was open, rolled up to the ceiling. And inside the unit, in a space that should have been filled with Harold Meek's belongings, there was nothing. Nothing except a chair. A single folding chair facing the back wall. And on the back wall, scratched into the concrete in letters about 6 inches tall, were 2 words: "You came." I called Harold Meeks the next morning. The number on file was disconnected. I searched his name online and found an obituary from 2024, a year before I even started working at the facility. Heart attack, 67 years old, survived by no one. The account was current. Someone had been paying the monthly rent on C-19 for over a year after Harold's death. I pulled the payment records, cash, dropped in the after-hours slot in an envelope every month. No return address, no name. I wanted to open the unit. I had the master key. I had every right. The renter was dead. The payments were from an unknown source. It could be a liability issue. I had reasons, good reasons. I didn't open it. Instead, I set up my phone to record camera 7 continuously, every night. I'd review the footage each morning, scrubbing through hours of empty hallway at 8x speed. For 3 weeks, nothing happened. Normal camera, normal timestamp, normal hallway. Then, on a Thursday at 3:47 a.m., the second timestamp reappeared. November 1st, 2031. Same date as the last one. The empty hallway, the open unit, the chair. But this time, the camera had moved. Not physically. It was bolted to the ceiling. But the angle had shifted somehow, tilted down, like it was trying to show me more of the inside of Unit C-19. And on the seat of the folding chair, there was something small. A rectangle, light-colored. I zoomed in on the recording until the pixels were the size of my thumbnail. It was an envelope. I need to tell you that I haven't slept properly in 6 days. I need to tell you that I've started driving past the storage facility on my days off just to make sure it's still there. Still normal. Still a boring concrete box on the side of Route 9. I need to tell you that twice now I've woken up in the middle of the night and checked my phone and seen the camera 7 feed in the hallway has been red. Just for a second, just a flash, before snapping back to normal. And I need to tell you that last night, when I was reviewing the footage, I found something I hadn't noticed before. In the very first screenshot I ever took, the one from 3 weeks ago, with the barely visible shape on the floor, I zoomed in. Further than I ever had before. Zoomed in on the figure's hands, the ones resting on their knees. They were holding something rectangular and light-colored. An envelope. I think the envelope has been there the whole time. I think it's been waiting for me since the beginning. And I think the message scratched into the wall, "You came," isn't a statement about the past. It's a statement about the future. The unit is 30 feet from my office. I have the master key in my desk drawer. I could walk over there right now. It's 3:44 a.m. as I write this, and open the door and see if there's a chair and an envelope waiting for me 5 years early. I think I'm going to. I think I've always been going to. It's 3:47 now.